I'm here, the medical medium, #1 New York Times best-selling author of the Medical Medium book series. Many of you guys know that. And books are all over the world helping people heal around the globe. Powerful information. Got my celery juice right here, and I'm ready to do a YouTube. I want to talk all about this. You guys know the books. There's the Medical Medium book 1. There's Life-Changing Foods. I brought some books along. Why not, right? For anybody who doesn't know about them. Thyroid Healing, Medical Medium Thyroid Healing right there. And then Liver Rescue, one of the latest books right there. Getting your liver healthier, it's so powerful. And the Celery Juice book, which, I mean, it's epic. It has information in there, really powerful stuff to heal. The Medical Medium book series is about advanced medical information. They're medical books, and they're around the world right now, millions around the globe. And many of you probably already know you're using the information so you can heal and move past your illnesses. But today we're talking about why eggs make us sick. And if you don't know they make you sick, you're going to learn all about it right here today. This is a powerful topic. And listen, this is a topic, I'm here talking about this. Is a critical topic to start the YouTube live series with, and that's what I'm doing. So I want you to know about the eggs and what's happening. So many of you have symptoms, conditions. I mean, everything from acne to eczema and all kinds of different conditions. And staying away from eggs is critical. It's critical. So that's why I'm here talking about this topic today alone. But actually really soon, I'm going to have guests come on, people that healed from medical medium information. I'm going to have doctors come on, going to have dentists come on, special friends, special guests, scientists, lab technicians, people I know, people I've known for years that are actually fighting the battle out there, helping people heal from chronic illness, spreading the medical medium information, which is the most advanced healing information that exists today. So many know it, doctors know it, so many other people know it, and I want you guys to learn about it too. So today it's all about eggs and why they're not working for us and why we're getting sicker without realizing it. And we don't blame the egg. Nobody blames the egg. You'll blame a piece of fruit. Somebody will blame something else. Way before, they'll blame all the eggs they ate all those years, even if it was an egg once a year, once a week, once a month, or once a day. They won't blame the egg. So I'm going to go into it. So we're gonna cover it. So the medical industry is involved with why eggs are bad, not because they're out there talking about eggs being bad, but what happened is they were using eggs back years and years ago to raise bugs. So bugs are why we're sick, and we're going to go into this. This is going to be really intense. It's going to be really interesting, and so much information I got to cover. See, basically what happened is viruses, pathogens, bacteria were raised in labs a long time ago, back in the 1920s, back in the 1930s, back in the 1940s, and so on. And these bugs were raised in labs. These are the bugs that got into people now, that are into you. If you have acne, that's Streptococcus. I'm going to go into Streptococcus, all the different groups and stuff like that a little bit later. But if you have acne, that means you have strep in your system. That strep is in your system because that strep left a lab back in the 1920s, 1930s. I don't know how, mysteriously left the labs, probably on purpose, obviously, so we can stay sick, so we can be a sick society, a sick culture. 250 million Americans alone are sick right now with symptoms and conditions. And if you don't think you got a chronic illness, if you have one symptom that comes and goes intermittently, or if it just comes and goes periodically, or you can't get rid of it, or it's there all the time, or you got 2 symptoms or 3 symptoms, that's a chronic problem. That's a chronic illness. So, I mean, do you suffer from autoimmune? Do you suffer from eczema, psoriasis, vitiligo, lupus, Lyme disease, endometriosis, PCOS, fibroids, breast cancer, tingles, numbness, aches, pains, burning feelings, sensations, heart palpitations, ringing in the ears, vertigo, dizziness, tic spasms, acne, IBS, Crohn's, bloating, colitis, fibromyalgia, hundreds of more conditions? They're caused by pathogens. So you can get your best medical information out there, alternative medicine, or your best healer, or your best advisor in medical health, and they won't tell you which bugs or bugs that are responsible for this, and responsible for all your illnesses, and how eggs feed these bugs. So this is critical information. It's really important. So in order for pathogens to stay alive, they need food. And everybody has pathogens in their body. Everybody has pathogens in their system. That's how it works. If you've had fibromyalgia, if you've had a Hashimoto's problem, if you had a thyroid issue, there's pathogens involved. So we'll cover some of that too along the way. So eczema, psoriasis, that's a virus inside the liver along with abundant amounts of copper, a toxin that sits in the liver. So I'll explain about that too. So here's how it works. Viruses stay alive by feeding off of food inside of our body. Pathogens stay alive by feeding off of food inside our body. So that's how it works. So I got some eggs right here. Of course, you have to have the eggs right here, right? So when you're eating the eggs every day, you're just bringing yourself closer to sickness. Now, you could throw up a blind eye at this. You can just throw your hands at it and be like, okay, what does he know? What's going on here, whatever. But because you're feeling good, you might be young, you might be indestructible in the moment, you might be working out in the gym every single day, you're 20 years old, you're 25 years old, you're 22 years old, whatever, and you're like, no, I have eggs on my salad, I'm told it's a protein source, I'm going to cover all that stuff. But in the end, you will get symptoms. Everybody does, whether they get it at age 38, whether they start getting reproductive problems at age 35, whether they get something at age 42, they get it. See, that's the whole thing. No one's going to escape that unless they really know what to do for themselves, what to actually do, what to use for the health, and how to avoid things they shouldn't be eating. Because in the end, everybody gets symptoms. Bottom line, I've been doing this for 35 plus years, been involved with it. I've talked to thousands of health professionals over the years. I know how it works. Everybody gets symptoms. If you don't think you're getting them now, you're going to get them later. So why not avoid them? Why not actually do something about it? This is one of the most powerful ways to handle it, is getting rid of these babies right here. And so get them out of your diet no matter what. And so look, I'm not in the food wars, okay? We know that. I'm not all about the food war, meaning like you guys may not know if you're brand new to this, if it's the first time you're watching this with me or anything like that, but people who know medical medium information know that I'm not involved with that whole food war thing, where it's the vegans against the paleos against the vegans, where there's whatever diets, you know, anybody subscribe to, where animal protein against the non-animal protein people, and how it goes, and the flip-flopping that happens all in it, where people leave the vegan world and they go back to animal proteins. Meanwhile, they got sick to begin with off the animal proteins. People leave the animal proteins, they go back to the vegan world. They're all going back and forth. And what's happening is everybody's guessing, and everybody's still dealing and fighting with their symptoms as they go along the way, or they get rid of symptoms for a little while and then they come back. So I'm not about just subscribing to one side of it, or one, hey, veganism is the way to go, or hey, paleism is the way to go. It's not how I've ever been. I'm about real answers, real truth. They're in the Medical Medium series books, so you can actually be armed and be able to take care of yourself and help yourself heal and get better. That's what it's about. It's about making sure that mom who can't get out of bed to take care of her kids gets real answers for the first time, after she's already been to 5 neurologists, after she's already been to 5 other doctors or a dermatologist, or however, because of her eczema and psoriasis or some other condition. I'm all about making sure you get your information so you can heal and be empowered and rise above all the nonsense and the noise that's out there, including the noise that's on YouTube, including the food war noise, including everybody thinking they got their handle on a diet or whatever, when in the end, no one knows what causes illnesses. They don't know the Epstein-Barr causes actual sickness, like all the different conditions I mentioned earlier, some of them, many of them. And they don't know about all the different shingles varieties, the Epstein-Barr varieties, the over 60 varieties. So we're going into this stuff in depth. Gonna have to actually drink a little celery juice, keep me going here. So let's go into a little bit more of this, the basics. Let's just start out with the basics right here. Viruses and pathogens that are responsible for autoimmune and other illnesses. If you've been diagnosed with an autoimmune condition of any kind and your doctor finally said, hey, it's autoimmune, or you went online and looked and it's autoimmune, whatever that is, what that means, without anybody telling you, is that you have a condition where you have a pathogen inside the body causing problems, creating neurotoxins, creating dermatoxins. Like if it's eczema or psoriasis, that's a pathogen creating a toxin that floats to the skin. This is advanced information. Now, if you eat eggs, if you're eating them or you ate them in the past, you're feeding that pathogen. You're feeding that virus. And that's what's keeping you sick, and that's what's going to keep you sick. So this is really important to understand. So that's just a basic rundown of that. So food is medicine. You guys heard that? Everybody's heard that. Food is medicine, right? Well, food be that medicine, all of it. And you know, the whole thing with that is Food is medicine. What's medicine with food if you don't know what causes illness? How can you know what's good or bad for you? How can you know as a health professional what's really good or bad for you? How can you know as an influencer? How can you know as somebody actually giving advice out there when you don't know what causes illness? If you don't know what causes all the different symptoms and conditions, how do you know what food is good or bad? Why do you think people are still eating eggs? And that's how it works. If people knew what was really wrong with them and what was causing illness and sickness out there, eggs would actually get a bad rap, like a really bad rap. See, that's the whole point. So everybody's saying, hey, food is medicine. But sure, there are some good things in eggs, but there's bad things in eggs too. There's bad things that actually feed bugs, and that's really important to understand. Just because there's a nutrient in eggs, or like omega-3 or something like that, that you're being told is in an egg, just because there's some omega-3s in here, there's some protein in here, something that you think is actually good for you, or some nutrients and stuff like that. Just because that's in here doesn't mean there's something else that isn't in here that's causing trouble. Look, the industries use this in labs as a food source for all the bugs that are keeping everybody down, disempowering women and men, actually hurting people, keeping them sick, hurting children, keeping them sick. That's what they did. They did that without your permission. No town hall meeting, no vote, no anything. This was done without your decisions involved. So eggs were actually ruined because of this, okay? And before all of this, yeah, eggs were probably a fine food to eat. Why not? Why not? So let's go into something called autoimmune. I want to cover that a little bit. Why I want to talk about that when it comes down to eggs, autoimmune and eggs, and kind of link that together. So that's really important to talk about, because so many of you with autoimmune conditions of any kind or symptoms that may not have been diagnosed as autoimmune or anything, so many of you are actually eating eggs, or go back to eating eggs, or maybe come off of them and go back to them. You know, it's one of those things where it's a staple in all the diets. Maybe if you're not a vegan, sure. But you know what? There's a lot of people, they're not vegan long. You know, they're vegan for a very short time. They're vegan for like 5 years. Yeah, that's a short time. That's a really short time. Or they're vegan for 1 year and they're back on eggs. What do they do when vegans usually leave that whole thing? Plant-based people, they go right back to eggs. They do a little fish, or they stay with eggs. They bring on cheese or something, or butter. They usually start there. But so I want to talk about how most everybody has been either been on eggs when they're younger, or they're on eggs later, or they're just on eggs every day. So let's talk about this. Think about technology back in the 1950s, late 1940s, right? Think about technology. Think about the phones. Go watch an old movie. I know I say this a lot. Watch an old movie and look at technology back in 1950, all right? You'll be in shock, because we're so used to tech now. We're so used to life now. We're so used to what's happening now, okay? And so go back and look at that. And when you look at that, you'll see the old phones, you'll see the old cars as big as as big as boats. You'll see all of that, you know. And what happens is, when you realize technology was where it was at, then you have to realize medicine was where technology was at back then too. It was in the dark ages, okay? That was the dark ages of medicine. That was where theories were born. Just like now, theories are here now. We're still, you know, in the dark ages in many ways, because, you know, hey, they still don't even know what causes chronic illness and autoimmune. But think about as far as back to the late 1940s, early 1950s. Well, that's when the autoimmune theory was birthed. That's when it was born, okay? So if you're someone who's young right now, if you're someone that's already been to a couple doctors, you got a little bit of eczema and you're realizing it's autoimmune, or you got some swelling on the body, or you got something that's, you're getting a diagnosis of lupus, or you just got symptoms that are actually being classified as autoimmune, or you're dealing with a little fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome, or whatever it is, that's all in the autoimmune family, or Lyme disease now pushed in autoimmune. I'm going to go into that in more detail. Whatever you're dealing with, okay, autoimmune is a theory still. The word is a theory. The concept is a theory. Your sickness is real. Your symptoms are real. They are very real. Way more real than the industry lets you feel or know, because that's how it is. By saying it's autoimmune, they're saying your body's attacking itself. They're saying your body's destroying itself. So that's what they're doing. So think about that for a minute. Here you are, you go to a doctor. It's not the doctor's fault. Doctors work for the industry. It's not, doctors are amazing. It's not about the doctor, but you go to the doctor and the doctor's gonna be like, yeah, you have an autoimmune condition. That's what you have. So now you're making your protein shakes, now you're making your smoothies, now you're having your hard-boiled eggs on salads, now you're doing all this because you're trying to eat healthy. You go to a good functional medicine doctor and they're like, get off of gluten, get off of this, get off of that. But they still think you have an autoimmune condition. They're still following that 1950s theory where your body's attacking itself. See, autoimmune means your body's immune system is attacking the glands and organs. That's what it means. That's a theory that occurred back in the technology of that, old school of the 1940s and the 1950s. That was a theory that came up because science and research had to protect itself because millions of patients were coming in with new symptoms for the first time in history. So please know that. And there's no science proving autoimmune yet, the autoimmune theory. There's no science or research that can actually prove the autoimmune theory. Okay, that's how it works. You can look all you want. They'll still say your body's attacking itself, and they'll talk about an autoantibody, but they can never find that autoantibody causing harm. It's not possible. It's still a complete and total theory, a farce actually. It's basically a ruse played on you. And I'll tell you why. It's to train you that you have a faulty body, that your sickness is your fault. It's not a pathogen. It's not the Epstein-Barr virus. It's not this. It's not that. The industry doesn't want you knowing these truths. The industry doesn't want you knowing any of that. The industry wants to keep you sick. That's how the money machine works. You've heard of that, right? Well, it's like that with autoimmune, the theory. So this is how it works. In the 1950s, they didn't know why all these people were sick. They were pouring in symptoms they'd never seen before. I've even talked to old doctors back in the day when they were already 90 years old after practicing way back then. And I've talked to them and they've told me how it all worked and what was happening. And the autoimmune theory was just a way to confuse people, to protect science and research. Because science and research has to protect itself. And it uses you and womankind to do so. Not in all fields. I'm talking about chronic illness. So just know this, not in all fields. When I talk to scientists, they'll say the same thing. They'll say it doesn't protect itself all the time in other areas, but it does in chronic illness and women suffering and struggling. So when women come in with all their different symptoms or heart palpitations, oh, it's their hormones. Or or their fatigue, their severe fatigue, oh, it's their body attacking itself. Or it's in their head and they're creating it. Or it's genes. These are techniques used for the industry to protect itself. So first of all, the industry used eggs to raise all of these pathogens that make us sick. Then when everybody got sick and is getting sick now and pouring into their offices, and still today, like never before in history, we have an epidemic right now, right? Now that people are pouring in sick, they use the old theory that came out, the protected research and science, the grandfather law theory, which is the body's attacking itself. How do you like them apples, huh? Exactly. So you're going to be, say, 22 years old, 21 years old, maybe 40 years old, maybe 45 years old with your first diagnosis. You got a thyroid problem. Oh, wait a minute. I got Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Oh, I got hyperthyroidism. And you're going to find out that's your body attacking itself. There's no answers out there. So there's no answers out there. Whether you like it or not about me telling you this truth, whether you're somebody that's like, that's not true. There's answers. No, I trust my doctor. No, I trust research and science. I trust all the different non-gluten diets. I trust everything. But you know what? There's something I call bullshitting yourself. And that's what people do every day. And they actually bullshit themselves to still eat eggs. That I've learned. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Here's how it works. It's important to know what causes sickness so you can actually help others move forward, rise out of this. It's important to know that pathogens cause sickness. Heavy metals cause sickness. Mercury, aluminum, lead, arsenic, nickel, cadmium, copper cause illness. And heavy metals like mercury, okay, with foods like eggs, feed bugs that keep us sick, that keep us down, that keep us hurting, that keep us fatigued, that give us thyroid problems and so forth. You have to break out of that whole thing where you actually think that your body's attacking itself, or that you caused the problem, or it's genes, or it's even the wrong foods you're eating. People will be like, well, it's fruit that's causing my Hashimoto's. That's actually not even possible. Fruit cannot feed pathogens like viruses. They can't feed that. They're actually, blueberries help you get rid of pathogens. They help you get rid of viruses. They help you heal. That's the whole point. And so you need to know there's certain foods that are medicine, and there's foods that aren't medicine. That's why it's so important here. That's why I'm talking about this. So many people are sick because they're eating the wrong foods, and they think it's medicine. They think the wrong food is healing, and that's how it works. They're also told their body's attacking itself, so they're given no answers. It's why there are so many people healing with medical medium information. The reason why there's so many people healing with medical medium information globally out there, because of the millions of books that got out there all in the world, is because they have the truth. And they know better not to just BS themselves. They know it. They know what they've been through. They've been to 10 doctors. They've been to 15 doctors. They've seen how hard it is. They've been to 4 neurologists. They've been through hell and back. They bend down on their hands and knees suffering, and they pay tons of money, and they put so much money out in so many different ways, and they've suffered and they've struggled, okay? And they know this. And so what happens is those people that have healed through the medical medium information know not to eat eggs. But hey, this might be the first time you've ever seen a video of me, first time you ever heard about my books. So we're going to go into more of this. So just back to the autoimmune theory, it's not your body attacking itself. That's not how it works. And that's just a complete and total fraudulent theory that was created to protect science because there were no answers. And so every single illness now is classified, practically every single. You have to understand, it's not just 10 illnesses, 20 illnesses, or 100. We're in hundreds of different conditions now are classified in the autoimmune category because they have no answers. And then you're supposed to believe your body caused it. And then when you sit there with that autoimmune diagnosis, you're eating your eggs because you're told by some dietitian. I mean, I love dietitians. There's some really great ones out there that know about medical medium information and or decent information in general. But you'll be told by some dietitian to keep on doing the eggs. You'll be told by a nutritionist to keep on eating your eggs because it's high in protein. And then what happens is if you've even started recovering because you got rid of certain foods, like you got rid of gluten and you got rid of fried foods and you've been eating healthier and you're exercising a little and you're starting to do some recovery and you're seeing a good functional medicine doctor and you're taking good supplements, you're starting to just come out of it a little bit. You're still going to be eating eggs. And then boom, years later, you get a new problem. Boom, you get a relapse, or you're back to where you were before. See, they don't know what causes illnesses. That's how it works. You go to practitioners, they don't know. Not all practitioners know. The ones that actually know about medical medium information, they know what's going on. They know what's causing diseases. They know that Epstein-Barr, one of the 60 varieties of Epstein-Barr, which I'll talk about in a little bit, what that is about. They know that that virus causes more than a little bit of tiredness. It causes aches and pains. It causes fibromyalgia. It causes rheumatoid arthritis. It causes eczema and psoriasis. It causes Hashimoto's thyroiditis. It causes multiple sclerosis. It causes aches and pains, tingles and numbness, ringing in the ears, vertigo. That's just a touch of what it causes, okay? And that's not even PCOS because it causes PCOS too and some reproductive problems and conditions. So that's what Epstein-Barr causes. But you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that clear information. Instead, you'll be told to keep on eating your eggs and that, yeah, you have autoimmune and you need to do maybe an AIP diet or some other kind of diet and so forth. And it's not that I'm against any diets. That's not it. It's just that I can't subscribe to a belief system. What happens is people, they fall into a belief system. They have no choice. They fall into a belief system and that's what they do. I can't do that. That's why I'm not in the food wars. That's why I'm not I'm not throwing stones at the vegans. I'm not throwing stones at the paleo. People, they can eat animal protein. I'm just going to teach you what foods actually feed the real problems, why people are really sick, how to do something about that. And that's what the YouTube live series is going to be about. Like I'm going to be bringing on the guests. I'm going to be bringing on other people in the future episodes. It's what we're going to be doing. But I'm going to make sure you have the answers you need. So let's talk about Lyme disease a little bit. I want to cover that. Lyme disease, everybody thought it was all sewed up. They all thought it was bacteria. It was bacterial. You got the Bartonella, you got the Babesia, you got the Borrelia, and that's what they thought it all was in the past, okay? That was the whole thing. Now, you just need to know something. Because of the medical medium information and the millions of books that got out there in the world, and the amount of doctors using the medical medium information at this point now in time, the Lyme disease information has changed out there because of medical medium books. It is actually altered, so which is actually a good thing, but it's what happened out there. The industry is sneaky, though. They don't like when this information gets out there. They don't like when the truth gets out there because they know it threatens them in so many ways. It threatens them from making money. It threatens them in different ways from taking control. They don't want womankind taking control over their lives, over their health. And they want to make sure they sell as many antibiotics as they possibly can. So the Lyme disease movement is all about selling as many antibiotics as possible. The industry wants to do it. They've made $1 trillion on antibiotics in the last 35 years. It's still a lot of money. No one wants to lose that. So, but what happened with the medical medium information? The truth got out there. Thousands and thousands of doctors, just in this country alone and globally, know that Lyme disease is viral. That bacteria can't cause a neurotoxic response like all of the neurological Lyme patients go through. I actually broke that information out there in the world through my source that you guys will learn about if you've never heard about that. It's all in the books. And so that information is changing the world. But what the industry did to try to kind of like catch up to itself a little bit, they took Lyme disease. They removed it from bacteria category. Even though the Lyme labs still test for bacteria and all that, they took it from this category of just bacterial, and they placed it in the autoimmune category. They now say Lyme disease is in the autoimmune category. Now, it can't be in the autoimmune category if it's bacterial related. But you see how that works? They just took Lyme disease after 35 years out from underneath everybody. No one's even realizing it. And they placed it in the autoimmune category, which means they're telling you that your Lyme disease and Lyme symptoms are now your body attacking itself. Wait a minute, wasn't it bacteria for 35 years? Didn't they literally bomb the hell out of people with antibiotics decade after decade and tortured womankind and tortured people? Literally, I mean, people have suffered. You wouldn't believe, if you don't know about this, you wouldn't believe what Lyme people, Lyme patients have gone through and the hell they've been through. It's so heartbreaking, you just can't even imagine. You can't even imagine. See, they placed it in the autoimmune category for a reason, because we've altered the information out there, because people are healing when they realize it's viral. See, look, Babesia, Bartonella, Borrelia, they're not superbugs. They can't harm you like people really believe so. See, that's how it works. They can't produce a neurotoxin. Because they can't produce a neurotoxin like viruses like Epstein-Barr, HHV6, shingles varieties, and other viruses, HHV7, simplexes, and so forth, they can't produce a neurotoxin. Neurotoxins is why people suffer with neurological Lyme symptoms. That's how it works. And the industry, they got kind of wise to what was happening and what was shifting. So they took the actual diagnosis of Lyme disease, that condition, and they placed it in autoimmune. Now they're teaching people that's your body attacking itself. That's what it is. They're leaving the bacteria aspect of it out of it because the bacteria was never the problem. MRSA has a higher healing response rate of recovery with antibiotics than Bartonella, Babesia, okay? Because, and Borrelia. There's a reason for that. Because MRSA is a real superbug, but yet has a higher response rate in recovery. The reason why people with Lyme suffered all these years with antibiotics and they've been bombarded with antibiotics in their system and haven't had good recoveries, and have even gotten worse, so many of them, is because they were viral. When you use antibiotics for viral conditions, you suffer worse. That's how it works. And that's what happens. See, if the bacteria Borrelia and the hybrid Babesia and the Bartonella were the true causes of Lyme disease, antibiotics would kill them off so simply and easily because they're not superbugs like even MRSA, and MRSA has a higher kill-off and response rate of recovery. My God, I've known so many people that have had MRSA and recovered, and that's like the superbug, one of the superbugs. And that's how it works. See, Lyme people that have dealt with Lyme disease and everything else, and they're dealing with the symptoms, neurological Lyme and all that, Lyme disease patients would be freed up in a heartbeat from an antibiotic, in a heartbeat. And it would never come back. And so, but the reason why they don't and they end up getting sick again, or they end up suffering either way. The reason why, it's always been viral. That's why antibiotics are being phased out of Lyme disease protocols. Doctors now, Lyme doctors, are using half the amount, a quarter of the amount. Now they're bringing it down to a fraction because they know better. They've seen the wake of the hell that has happened, and they've seen what people have gone through. And what do they do, though? Everybody just tells everybody to eat eggs. Everybody just eat eggs. I mean, that's how it works, just lots of eggs. And those eggs feed the viruses behind Lyme disease. So the medical medium information was to bring out the truth that it's viral, that it's viral neurotoxins produced by viruses causing neurological Lyme. The industry got wise. They placed it in the autoimmune category now, okay? That's how it is. And now the autoimmune category means your body's attacking itself. Wait a minute, what, Lyme wasn't bacteria? I'm confused. Now the body's attacking itself? What is it now? And they're slipping in there, and they're kind of like, and all the big doctors now and all the big protocols, they're backing down on the antibiotics, you see? And then they're using more natural things. They're using more natural stuff. They're using the diets, and people are recovering. But the reason why they're starting to recover is because they're viral, and that when you clean up your diet and your diet gets better, especially with the medical medium information of what foods to eliminate, when you clean up your diet and everything starts to go down, you start getting rid of all the bad foods, including the eggs. That's right. Your symptoms start to back down, and they start to back down, and you start to recover. And so that's just a whole example of Lyme disease, autoimmune, how things work, how the system out there works, the trickery of what's happening, the aspect of it all. So it's so important to know this. So just to recap real quick before we move on, because we're moving on to some cool stuff, without a doubt. So a little recap on things, okay? And I love the comments coming up. It's incredible. So I'm going to answer questions. If the eggs are organic, is that a good thing? So we'll cover that in a little bit, the whole bit. So because there's important things to know about how eggs work. So I'll check out the comments too. Let's go into food as medicine. So what food is medicine, okay? Is an egg medicine? Is an egg medicinal? No, it's not. It's not a medicine. It's not medicinal. This is so important to understand. It's critical, okay? Spinach is a medicine. So just know the difference. Get the reference, you know? Like know what we're talking about, like all of us are talking about, right? Just like spinach is medicine. Yeah, of course it is. You know that. I mean, of course you know it's medicine. I mean, a pile of spinach in front of you, you know that's medicinal. You know that's medicine, okay? Eggs, no, they're not medicine. And there's a spark in us that knows that. Why do you think eggs in moderation? You've heard that? Oh, eat eggs in moderation. Why? Because you'll probably get a heart attack and die, they're worried about? Like, yeah, that's one of the things. Like, why eat eggs in moderation? You've heard that one. Spinach in moderation? I don't think so. You know, you can eat spinach all you want, the whole bit. I mean, but eggs in moderation, that phrase came around because of high cholesterol, because of plaque in the arteries, because of blood clots, because of all kinds of other issues, high blood pressure. So that's where eggs in moderation was a concern, because it's not a medicine. It's not. It's actually a food that's, you know, constantly promoted by backers of the industry for a reason. So we'll go into that a little bit. Celery juice. Is this medicine or is this not medicine? It's medicine. Spinach, medicine. Wild blueberries, medicine. Blueberries, medicine. Potato, even a potato, medicine. So, you know, potato without cream, without butter, without, you know, without any of that, yes, important. You know, potatoes without cream, butter, cheese, all of that. So I want to talk about potato for a second. Somebody like out there, you guys might be vibing on the feeling, well, potato's not medicine. Potato's terrible for you. I'm on this certain diet. Potato's bad for me. Oh, I'm going to just completely, all this information doesn't mean anything to me now because I've learned potatoes are bad out there from some kind of diet. So if you're somebody that's getting that feeling of like, why is he talking about potato? There's something called L-lysine. Lysine is inside potato. People are suffering out there with the Epstein-Barr viruses, the shingles virus. Do you know anybody that has jaw pain, neck pain, that it's unexplainable? They got trigeminal neuralgia, they got migraines, they got headaches. That's the shingles virus that can cause all of that. Chronic sciatic nerve, so sciatica problems. If you know a relative or a friend that has a back problem that just doesn't want to back down, surgery or no surgery or whatever it is, shingles varieties. See, shingles, there's over 30 varieties of undiscovered shingles varieties. I mean, that's the whole thing. See, Epstein-Barr, there's over 60 varieties. Only one they have discovered out there. They don't have the over 60 varieties of mutations and strains. So let's go into this a little bit. We're talking about foods as medicine. We're talking about the potatoes, the L-lysine. L-lysine actually harms viruses. So that's how it works. So just pretend, just pretend that, look, this is a virus. I got the little critter in my hand right here. I've done this before. Say that's the virus, the pathogen, the invader. L-lysine, when you eat a potato, starts to hurt the invader, starts to take down the invader, starts to take down the pathogen. That's how it works. So potato has something in it that is medicine to stop conditions that Lyme sufferers, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, ME chronic fatigue syndrome, all the different conditions, just regular fatigue, all of it, people that suffer with. What happens is potato actually helps you heal. It is one of the foods as medicine, but it shows you how the industries don't know this. And they'll just be like, oh, it's a carb, toss it or whatever. But that's a prime example of how the industries and how people in the diet fads and trends don't know what causes your symptoms or conditions or illnesses. That's how it works. Celery juice is a medicine, helps to actually destroy and kill off bugs. So it actually helps to kill off viruses. And that's what's important. So I'm going into stuff like that. No one eats potatoes by itself, so it caught a bad rap. So everybody eats potatoes with sour cream. They eat potatoes with cheese on it, with butter on it. So yeah, it actually is bad for you at that point. It's not going to help you with all of that on there. And they put oil on it. All of that doesn't help. So yeah, it catches a bad rap, and rightfully so. If you're going to do all that to it, it doesn't work. So let's go into another thing too. Everybody is guessing out there. So that leads me into this next part. Everybody's guessing. That's how it works. So everybody in the industries, they're guessing to what food is right, to what can heal you, to what is good. It's all guessing games. That's how it works. Much of it built off of theories. It's a prime example how everyone is guessing and no one knows how to heal. And you can watch this on people's YouTube channels. You can see it. You can see what they were doing 2 years ago on the YouTube channel. You can see all of a sudden they're doing this and they're changing it up and they're starting to get a little better and they start getting a little worse again and they're confused and they're shifting their diet. Or you can see it on the YouTube where, different episodes of people where it goes back a few years ago or a couple years ago. You can watch the progression now of people getting sicker too. You can watch that too. You can see it when they're younger and then 3 years later, they're starting to get eczema for the first time in their life or they're starting to get something for the first time in their life. And you can actually witness this and they're trying different diets and different trends and they're working out and you can see where everybody really still doesn't know what they're doing. Everybody is guessing, including the big diet people out there, the people that back the trends, the people that actually start the big diet trends out there. They don't know what actually heals somebody or doesn't heal somebody because, once again, how can you actually know what heals someone when you don't know what causes their illness? So critical to know. So if you're suffering with any chronic illness, you think about that for 2 seconds. How does anybody know how to heal someone if they don't know what's causing the problem? You have to know the cause in order to heal. You have to know the cause. You have to know what's causing your illness so then you can know not to eat this when you have PCOS, when you have endometriosis, when you have, chronic UTIs, when you have all kinds of different conditions or reproductive conditions. No one's going to know, hey, you can't eat that, because that's going to feed a virus that's responsible for your condition. Or breast cancer. Same thing with breast cancer. No one's going to know, hey, that's the thing. When people get breast cancer, they're told to eat more eggs. When people get PCOS, they're told to eat more eggs. When people get endometriosis, they're told to eat more eggs. They're saying, no, eat eggs, eat this. And they'll say, sure, eat salads and some vegetables and eat your vegetables and maybe have a few berries. You'll hear all that stuff out there, but they'll leave the eggs in there 100%, which will make PCOS worse and worse and worse. And so that's an example. So how is it possible that everybody knows what they're talking about out there, about what can heal and what can help, when they don't even know the cause of the PCOS? They don't know the cause of the endometriosis. They don't know the constant cause of chronic UTIs. They don't know the cause of your eczema, psoriasis. They don't know the cause of your fibromyalgia, your multiple sclerosis, your aches and pains, your tingles and numbness, your chronic vertigo, your balance issues, your brain fog. If they don't know the cause of your brain fog, then how do they know what's going to heal it? And so the medical media information is all about getting those answers. And it's like that with breast cancer. They don't know the cause of breast cancer because they still don't know the cause. You're just starting to link Epstein-Barr virus because that is the true cause. Just starting to link that finally with all the medical medium information that's gotten out there for all these years. And they're just finally to link that. They're just finally, I talked to scientists and lab technicians that are pro medical medium information out there. I'm going to interview some of them along the way. And they'll talk about how, yeah, I mean, this is the information. This is the way to go. Look, chronic illness isn't about laying in a bed dying. And believe me, there's plenty of people out there doing that. It's the saddest thing out there. It's the saddest thing. It's heartbreaking. It's disturbing in so many ways. It's heart crushing. But chronic illness is any symptom, condition that you got, or you're developing, or gonna develop 10 years from now, or gonna develop. It's easy when you're 20 years old and just really you don't have much going on, and then all of a sudden you start getting that brain fog while you're 27 years old, and that brain fog's getting in the way of your career, getting in the way of things, and then all of a sudden you find your thyroid count is off, your thyroid numbers are off, and all of a sudden you find other things are going on, and it's happening to everyone. No one's escaping. It's happening. But you can stop it. You can learn how to heal it. You can figure out what the cause is. All of that's possible. That's the whole point. So it's so critical to know. So a chronic symptom and condition, chronic illness, is any symptom you're battling with or struggling with that isn't helping you, that is hurting you in some way, or lowering the quality of your life, or reducing, your positive nature, your outlook on life, because you're just bummed out because you got these symptoms. And whatever it is, the symptom is, those symptoms keep us down, and they keep us down. And that's chronic illness. Chronic illness isn't the person that's in a bed dying. And there's, like I said, so many are in that condition. And it's so sad. But chronic illness is all kinds of stuff. It's all kinds of symptoms that you're dealing with. So let's talk about the protein in eggs. So it's great comments coming up. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. I love doing this live and not edited or anything. It's like YouTube live. It's just so fun to do. The protein in eggs, let's go into that a little bit, okay? Is it good for us? Hey, you should eat your eggs because of protein, so maybe we should have our eggs because of protein. Look at all this protein here. So you'll hear it over and over and over again. It's like a brainwashing out there. But what no one understands, or nobody knows, or no one realizes, is protein was one of the food sources that was given to bugs to keep them alive. It's one of the sources. So it's protein inside eggs that kept bugs alive in the labs. They learned to feed off of the sticky protein that's in eggs. So that's what happened. So when you're eating egg proteins, they're slowly feeding things, because everybody has things in them, and they will get something eventually. They'll pick it up. They'll pick it up in different ways. Pick it up from a new relationship. People in new relationships pass the bugs along. Say somebody has acne, okay, and they've taken antibiotics for the acne over and over again. That streptococcus that they have, which causes their cystic acne, because that's the true cause of acne, that strep actually gets stronger and stronger with antibiotics. Then you get into a new relationship, that strep gets passed to another person, and that person has that streptococcus. And so we tend to pass all of these bugs around, and then bugs continue to get stronger as the years go on. We pass along the Epstein-Barrs, which is mononucleosis. We pass along all the different H. pylori. We pass along these things. We get them from restaurant food. We get them from restaurant glasses. We get them from all kinds of different things. We get them from people not washing their hands and working in places. We get them from public bathrooms. We just get bugs. And we're going to get them along the way in our life, one way or another, because we're going to sit on a plane somewhere, and we're going to pick up a bug somewhere, and we're going to be in on a plane bathroom, and we're just going to get bugs in our life if we're not careful, if we're not cautious, but we're going to get them. That's how life works. With those bugs, they incubate over time. I'm just being straight out. I'm just telling it like it is, because if I keep the truth from you and I act like and I just talk silly stuff out there, like you should have some butter in your coffee or something, or if I talk silly stuff out there, like you should be doing this, that, and not have the answers to heal, it's not enough. We need more. I want to protect you. It's about protecting yourself. It's about making sure you have the answers so you can protect yourself. So we actually pass around these bugs, and then we eat eggs, and we feed the bugs. We may not see a problem in a while. Sometimes we go through a lot of stress. We go through some emotional heartaches, some heartbreaks, things like that. Trust gets broken. Next thing you know it, our immune system gets knocked down a little bit, and then the bugs that we have floating around in us get lots of ample food. We have some eggs, and then we get in trouble with that. I haven't covered the emotional aspect about eggs and why we're so attached to them and how I understand, and I want to do that too. I don't want to forget about that. The other thing that's in eggs are hormones. Let's cover that. Now, some of you out there might be like, well, he's talking about hormones in eggs, but I eat organic eggs, I eat free-range eggs, I eat my own eggs. No, I'm talking about the hormones that are in those eggs. These are organic eggs right here. And there's hormones in these. They're just not added, but there's hormones naturally occurring to grow that baby chicken. That's how important it is to understand this stuff. And so these hormones were another food used in labs to raise all of the bugs that keep us sick. Let's just cover the bugs for 2 seconds first, okay? So there's over 60 varieties of Epstein-Barr, mutated strains and so forth. Over 30 varieties of shingles, undiscovered by research and science, that plague people left and right out there. They give them neuropathy, they give them all kinds of aches and pains, trigeminal neuralgia, they give them Bell's palsy, everything. So there's all these different kinds of shingles varieties out there, non-rashing and rashing. There's HHV6s, there's HHV7s out there too. There's simplex 1, simplex 2, and all the different mutations and varieties that are being passed around all over the place. And then there's cytomegalovirus. There's that one as well. Then there's the undiscovered HHV 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s through 16 that science and research doesn't even have their finger or pulse on any level. So you got all these different viruses. Then you have the different varieties of Streptococcus. Over 50 groups of strep now are developing. Over 50 groups and multiple strains per group. You can't even, the alphabet won't even cover it now. You speak group A, group B, strep group C, D, H, whatever, and the whole bit, E. So what happens is that, I probably got it backwards right there, but the groups have different strains and multiple mutations. These are all the bugs I'm talking about that are keeping everybody sick. You can arm yourself, you can knock them down, you can clean up your illnesses, you can be like other people, medical medium information in the books that actually understand this stuff and actually realize that doctors don't know. And most doctors don't even have an idea or know about this. It's not their fault. All doctors are good because they want people to heal. They're in it. Their heart's in it. I know lots of doctors who work with them. There's doctors on the front of these books that have written forwards on the front of these books. And there's amazing physicians out there, done incredible work out there. But when it comes down to eggs, you're just going to feed the bugs. So much is this is so important to know about. So it doesn't matter if it's organic, doesn't matter if it's free range, doesn't matter if you grew it yourself. It's going to have hormones in it that feed the viruses. It's going to have a protein that feed the viruses and bacteria and keep us sick. That's the bottom line. So all of this is important to know about. Let's keep on going a little bit further in all this. So a lot of people ask the question, and this is a good one. A lot of people ask the question, is raw egg okay? So that's what they'll do. Is raw egg okay? The whole bit. Now, raw egg is definitely better than cooked egg, but still with raw egg, you got to worry about other problems. One being the main problem. It'll feed your pathogens. It'll still feed everything. Viruses will eat raw egg. They'll eat cooked egg. Pathogens will eat raw egg, cooked egg. That's just what they do. And then when you cook an egg, you denature what's even good in it, that what people think is good in it. So the omega-3 everybody says is good in eggs. You cook it, you destroy it. So you're not even using the omega-3. So anybody who says, well, hey, look, there's omega-3 in eggs. Yeah, good luck getting it if you're cooking it because you're destroying the omega-3. You can't cook omega-3. It won't work in your body. It can't be used. Same thing with proteins. They become denatured. You can't cook proteins. They become denatured. You cook an egg protein, it's denatured. So if you eat a raw egg, you'll get the omega-3, you'll get the protein, but you'll feed the bugs all the same. And maybe even get yourself salmonella or a foodborne illness if you eat raw eggs too. So you got to be careful. It's a whole nother thing. Here's the thing. I have nothing against eggs, okay? If anything, and I got nothing to gain doing this. All I get is flack from actually telling the truth. That's all I get. That's how it works out there in the world. You tell the truth, you go against the industry, you actually let the truth out to get people to heal. All you do is get crap for it. That's the bottom line, okay? But the only thing I have to gain is you healing. And that's true. I have that to gain because I know that I could sleep at night knowing that you have answers while I'm in this lifetime now, that you have answers so you can work on healing. That's critical to me, okay? But other than that, there's nothing to gain with this. It's not like I have anything against eggs. They actually taste really good. I mean, eggs, people love them. They taste great. It's emotional connection. Our moms made eggs, our dads made eggs, our grandparents made eggs. There's so many people all that through the family line. You know, we went to diners, right? Didn't you guys all go to diners and have eggs in your lifetime? You know, maybe somebody got drunk and went to a diner after a college party or something, whatever it is, just you know, had eggs. There's all these emotional connections people have with eggs down to the family line. It goes back in history. I mean, down to the food that's made, to egg salad that's made by, you know, a family recipe. A potato salad with eggs and mayonnaise or whatever. It's just whatever it is, mayonnaise and eggs and all this stuff. There's so much going on there. And there's so, you know, with omelets and fried eggs and scrambled eggs and all the way people like them, you know? And I get that. And I completely understand. And I know that connection is deep in people. But see, you know, what happens is the industry, they don't care about your family. They don't care about you and your health. They want you to think your body's attacking itself. They want you on eggs. They want you sick. And they want you playing guessing games. And they want you throwing stones at each other and throwing fake science at each other, you know, like the vegans and the paleos do and everybody else. Everybody's throwing all this stuff at each other. And the AIP and everybody just throwing all this stuff. Because everybody thinks they have the answers when they don't even know what causes anything. That's the whole thing. They don't even know what causes anything. And so the industries want everybody guessing, they want everybody confused, and they want everybody to stay sick. That's just the bottom line, okay? I have to be the one to deliver it. Well, that's the way it works, you know? I want you to tell you, read this New York Times bestselling book, Liver Rescue, learn about protein, the whole bit, protein myth, critical to understand so you can protect yourselves. So that's a good book you can actually get into if you're new to my books. So let's move on down the line a little bit more. I'm going to sip a little bit of celery juice here. Okay, so if you can't afford a book, can't get a book, go to the library. Get a book for free. I don't care if everybody goes to the library. Back to hormones and eggs. I don't care if the eggs are organic, free range. They still have hormones that feed pathogens that keep you sick. So your eczema and psoriasis is going to come and go. It's going to keep on coming. That's how it works. Doesn't matter if it's, you know, it's free range, like I said, the whole bit, it still has hormones in it. It's like a ball of hormones. That's what it is, naturally occurring. And the hormones in eggs confuse our endocrine glands, our endocrine system. So it's really important to understand. And they also get stored up in our liver. So the protein in eggs gets stored up in our liver. The hormones from eggs get stored up in our liver. And then we get sick because of pathogens sit inside the liver. I talk about all the different viruses and pathogens that sit inside the liver. And they feed off of a storage bin of old egg byproduct that's sitting inside your liver. So it's really important to understand. Eggs are not blood sugar balancers. Let's cover that a little bit. Everybody's like, oh, eggs will balance my blood sugar. Eggs will actually keep my blood sugar balanced. They keep me level. First of all, eggs have sugar in them. So it's not just this protein food, non-carb food. That's not at all. Eggs actually have a lot of sugar in them. There's a reason for that. Without sugar, glucose, a baby chicken can't form, get muscles, can't break out of the shell. There has to be sugar inside of an egg, or a baby chick can't develop and break out of the shell, can't have the strength to break out of the shell. So there has to be sugar in there. I mean, there is. But if you take the sugar naturally didn't have any, if the egg didn't have naturally any sugar in it, a baby chicken couldn't break out of the shell. That's how it works. So when you have sugar and fat combined, you destabilize your blood sugar. That's how you create insulin resistance. So just know this. This is actually something that's really important. So eggs are touted as blood sugar balances. They're good for diabetics. They're good for people with diabetes and all that. Not true. Worst thing for diabetics, the worst thing, they keep you with diabetes. You continue to stay with being a diabetic or a pre-diabetic, or your A1C because it's going to constantly be unstable and you're going to have to need medications. And the reason why is because this is sugar and protein. This is sugar and fat combined inside of an egg. It causes instant insulin resistance. So it's not a blood sugar balancer, because when you put fat and sugar together, the sugar can't find its way into cells because fat's blocking it. So insulin has to be produced to try to somehow get that sugar to bypass the fat and enter into cells so you can actually have strength. And that's how it works. So these are bad for diabetics, but yet diabetics are told to eat them. Everybody's told to eat them. That's the whole point. We're all told to eat them. So the fat clogs up the blood, keeps the insulin from attaching to the sugar, and then the sugar, the glucose, entering your cells. That's how it works. So when people are eating carbs, if you're eating carbs with some type of fat, the same thing occurs. That's how it works. So like for instance, if you're eating French fries with oil, French fries with oil is fat and a carb, right? See? So that's insulin resistance. But if you're eating potatoes without oil, that's how it works. That's why donuts, cakes, cookies, all that stuff is bad for you. It's fat and carbs. It's fat and sugar. That's how it works. So because of that, you get the insulin resistance. So I'm trying to give you a little rundown on that. Same thing with barbecue sauce. So if you're actually got barbecue ribs going on the grill and you think you got a protein source right there, but you slap on barbecue sauce, you just put a sugar on top of your barbecue ribs. Whatever, on your ribs, you put a sugar on top of it. You just cause an insulin resistant issue with sugar and fat. Very important to understand. So realize this is not free from that. It's got a lot of sugar in it to keep a baby chicken to actually, so a baby chicken can grow, it can gain muscle and strength and be able to break out of the shell. And that's how it works. So eggs are not a perfect food for diabetes. That's the whole point. So you can read more information about this too in my books. I talk all about that. Liver rescue is a great one for it. Get your liver healthy, and actually you can get so many conditions behind you. It's ridiculous. You can actually really heal. You can learn how to heal the whole bit. And you know what? I'm going to be doing a keto live, ketogenic live diet, ketogenic diet live too. So we're going to do that eventually. I can't wait to do that. Cover all of that. That's going to be fun. So here's the other thing people have to understand too. Okay. Eggs are high in fat, so remember that too. So it's a whole nother thing. So they're high in fat, so when you put the sugar combination of fat and sugar, that's when you get the problems. That's the bottom line. And then the person feels stabilized, but really they become destabilized more and more and more and more, and they end up getting in trouble. So, and the reason why they feel stabilized for the moment by eating eggs, some people feel stabilized because it's got a lot of calories. It's packed with calories. That's the bottom line. So if you're going to eat a caloric food, you're going to feel stable for a little while. So anytime, but you're going to set yourself up for prediabetes. You're going to set yourself down the road for liver problems because eggs clog up the liver, cause prediabetes and so forth. And that's one of the things that gets us in trouble down the road. So that's something I wanted to cover there. Many people eat their eggs fried or in omelets, butter, oil, the whole bit. Now, here's something I got to talk about. This is fun. Just let me get a sip of celery juice right here. So, coconut oil. Let's talk about coconut oil and eggs. Just because you're frying your eggs in coconut oil, that's not the answer. That's not the answer. Because you're still feeding any kind of pathogen, any kind of virus, any kind of bacteria that's in your body that's causing any of your symptoms. You're still feeding any illness, you're still feeding any disease. So what happens is if you take eggs and you fry it in coconut oil or you cook it in coconut oil, it's a term I call bullshitting yourself. So that's what it does. You know, it's like you think it's healthier. We're told it's healthier. All you're doing is adding more fat to your meal. So you're having like a double fat meal, eggs which have fat in it, then you're adding coconut oil into it. And you're using that, sure, it's better than using butter, definitely. It's without a doubt, it's better than using butter or bacon grease. Without a doubt it is. So that's what I like about the coconut oil with eggs and stuff, but at the same time, you're not getting away with something, the most important part, which is this is responsible for all those diagnoses. This is one of the things that are responsible for feeding the viruses and the bugs that are responsible for autoimmune conditions and all different conditions that are out there and diseases and so forth. All the pathogens of viruses and bacteria that feed off of foods it likes. This is one of those foods. That's what I'm saying. This was a food that raised them in the labs, and they're in our system and they're in our bodies, and then that's what everybody's fighting. They're fighting their pathogens, and they're fighting also the information out there, the misinformation out there at the same time. They're fighting two things. And I always say, if you know the truth, you don't have to fight one thing anymore. All the misinformation and all of the information that's out there that isn't right, that doesn't work, that isn't good. and you don't have to fight that battle anymore. So once you have the real information of what causes illness, and you know how to support yourself, and you know how to empower yourself and heal, that's one battle that's over. The next battle is clean up your system, clean up the toxins, clean up the bugs, and the whole bit. It's so important to that. So you got to rewatch this live. Anybody who came on now, you have to go back to the beginning of this live and make sure you watch it right from the beginning to all of it. It's so important. No one is immune from getting sick. And no one's immune from bullshitting themselves when it comes down to eggs. In order to support somebody's belief system, and they love eggs, they will bullshit themselves in every possible shape and manner. Because if you love the emotional connection you have with eggs, and you're really connected, and you love the taste, and you hear one good thing about eggs out there, without fail, you're going to pass it on to the next generation. You're going to pass it on to the next generation, and pass it on to the next generation, and it's going to happen over and over and over again. You'll carry the torch into the next generation is what you'll do. Because no one wants to drop a belief system that tastes good and everybody's eating. It's their favorite comfort food, or one of their favorite comfort foods. I've had people tell me, no, egg's not my favorite comfort food, but they can't get rid of them and they can't stop eating them because it is. I've had so many people say, well, I don't really eat that many eggs. Maybe you're one of them. And you're like, hey, Anthony, I don't really eat that many eggs. I think you're kind of like off on this one. But then get rid of them. Get rid of them and keep them out altogether. Keep them out altogether and get rid of them. And you'll know where you stand with it. You'll know. You know, if you're someone who is going to watch this live, and you're going to hop on the research and science bandwagon of researching sites about supporting your comfort food, about supporting eggs, about if you're someone watching this right now and you're like, wait a minute, I got to go on the internet now, I got to look up studies and research, I got to look up things and find out how eggs are good for me and find out how eggs are, realize that egg studies are paid for by their constituents. They're paid for. That's how it works. That's how it's done. Nobody's paying me to do this. Nobody's paying me to do this. To put it simple, okay? Because it's the first thing that people are going to do after seeing this YouTube, is they're going to be looking for research about eggs. They're going to say, wait a minute, how does eggs work? How are they bad? And they're going to trust studies that are paid for so you keep eating eggs. But that's how the world works. Haven't you figured that out yet? You know, it's pretty much, it's how the world works with stuff. That's how crazy the world is. Because it's all about keeping you sick, keeping the industry the fat cats happy out there, keeping them nice and, all the money paid for, all the investors, all the backups, all that stuff, all that constituents happy and everything. They're going to make sure those studies are supporting eggs. And that's the bottom line. It's going to get pushed into the alternative movement. It's going to get pushed in every movement. It's going to be in every diet system there is, except for the vegan system. But yet the vegans flip-flop anyway, and they leave veganism. The veganism, the minute they get a sniffle, because people are telling them they need protein or something, so they run off, and now they're eating eggs again, which is sad, because I like anybody who's just staying off of eggs, no matter what diet belief system they're attached to or whatever they're attached to. The industry, Big Pharma, actually pushed eggs upon us. They used them in the labs to get us sick, and they push it upon us to eat them. That's how it's done. And they know this. They know this, okay? I want you to know this. And remember, if you're, like I said, if you're a big science and research study fan, just know, if science and research had all the answers, why is everybody so darn sick? So many symptoms and conditions. Conditions that are just rising out of the blue. Over 250 million Americans alone have symptoms and conditions they can't get rid of. So is that what it's supposed to be, you guys? Are we all supposed to be sick? Is everybody supposed to be sick except for a few 20-year-olds before they get sick? I mean, is that how it's supposed to be? Millions, and the millions getting sicker that are coming soon. The millions that are going to get sicker. Why are you or someone still suffering with eczema and psoriasis if research and science had all the answers? Why? I mean, did they go to enough doctors? Don't they have all the answers? Oh, I forgot. Their body's attacking itself. That's right, the 1950s theory that was shoved in everybody's face. So realize how research and science works with chronic illness and how it's a house of cards. And it just falls and breaks. All falls down. You have to be able to see that, or you can't heal in the end. Because you'll just be playing the guessing games and you'll be running around. You'll be eating eggs, then you'll be on this diet, then you'll be doing this diet. You'll be seeing this doctor, you'll be seeing this doctor, you'll be trying this new thing, this new herb. I'll tell you right now, get on your celery juice every day, okay? Every day, okay? The industry doesn't like that celery juice. It's hurting everybody. It's hurting the pockets of everybody. Get on that celery juice, help yourself heal. Learn what to avoid, help yourself heal. Get the books like Liver Rescue and any of the other medical medium New York Times bestselling, #1 New York Times bestselling books. And make sure you get those. You know, really important. So you can learn how celery juice gets rid of pathogens. So you can learn how to heal. All this is critical. Eggs are not the culprit for disease. I'm not saying eggs are responsible. I'm not saying, don't mistake this. I'm not attacking eggs and saying they're actually the culprit of disease. It takes a host of toxic heavy metals, mercury, aluminum, copper. It takes pathogens, takes viruses such as Epstein-Barr. It takes all of that. And that's what it's involved with. It just so happens that the eggs feed pathogens. The egg actually feeds the viruses. The viruses eat the eggs is what happens. So I know, it's pretty silly, right? But it's the truth, and it is the bottom line. Eggs aren't the cause of disease, but they feed it. So eggs aren't the cause of disease, but they feed it. So important to understand, you guys. That's like critical. They feed, basically, that's how it works, because the viruses that cause disease were fed eggs. Look, here's the thing, okay? I want you guys to have the answers. I want you to have the information. I want you to know you could heal. Avoid eggs at all costs is what I'm trying to say. If you're not sick now and you feel good and you want to eat some eggs, okay, fine. I mean, eat some eggs, but we're always one egg away from getting ourselves sicker. So important to know. Look, it sounds ridiculous, probably, to someone who's not feeling too many symptoms or any symptoms at all. And they're like, that egg didn't hurt me when I ate it. But what about the woman with PCOS who's really suffering with some kind of or reproductive system condition or the worst endometriosis? She's getting surgery, and she's told to eat an egg every day, and it's worsening the condition rapidly. Or even a diabetic that's being told. You might care about the diabetic in your family, and they're told to eat eggs every day. Basically, the bottom line is have compassion for the people who actually really are sick, struggling, and going through hell and back, or been through hell and back. And I want you guys to have that compassion for them too, because by having that compassion, you'll actually be more open to understanding this information and about the eggs and what I'm talking about in the whole bit. What about the people who are 102 years old? What about the people who are 90 years old and ate eggs their whole life? They didn't have the pathogens we're up against now. We're up against mutations that are different. We're up against over 60 varieties of Epstein-Barr, not one variety of Epstein-Barr. We're up against toxic heavy metals like never before in history. We're up against mercury like never before in history. So you need to know that. We're up against all these different toxins and all these different poisons. And we're up against things we've never been up against. And people that the last dinosaurs that are 102 years old, that are 99 years old and 98 years old, God bless them, the last dinosaurs have less of that in their system. They got less of that and they were exposed to less pathogens, but that changed. That all changed. Why do you think we have teenagers that are laying in bed suffering with like full body pain and fatigue? Why do you think there's children that are sick to the degree they are and getting diagnosed with autoimmune every minute? Why do you think there's people in their early 20s that can't go to college anymore, or can't pursue their career after college, or can't do anything? Why do you think there's people like literally suffering? Why do you think everybody's getting diagnosed with a thyroid condition? That never happened back then. That never happened with the old days of what happened. So, and look, even if you raise your own chickens, have your own chickens, have the best chickens in the world, that egg will still feed bugs. Bottom line. You can still keep your chickens if it's therapy. You can still keep your chickens and feed them and have them lay eggs. And maybe there's somebody that doesn't care about this information you can give the eggs to because they want to eat the eggs no matter what, and they don't care about this information. You could find somebody. But the point is, even if you raise your own chickens, just the eggs will feed. If you're look, I've known people over the years raising their own chickens, the most amazing eggs, dark colored yolks, like incredible dark orange, yellow yolks, like incredible. But they're suffering with like fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis, and they got all this joint pain and their back creaks and hurts, and they go out to the chicken shack, and and they're, you know, and they're out there and they're collecting their eggs, but they got all kinds of problems, and they got glaucomas developing, and they got all kinds of different symptoms, and they're in their 50s, but they're feeling like they're 85, 90. They feel like they're 100. No, don't eat the eggs. Don't eat the eggs. And what about, you know, look, be mad at the industry that raised the bugs and the pathogens with your food that was a good food, that was a great food. That's the irony. See, I think eggs was an amazing food, you know, back in the old days. It wasn't the most nutrient-rich food, but it was a survival food. That's why I think it was an amazing food, because back in the old days, it was an incredible survival food. When nothing else was around in the moment, if you can get an egg, it was a really good high caloric survival food. That's why that's why I even like eggs in that sense. It has a history of that, but it's changed. You know, be mad at the industry for taking those eggs and ruining them. Be mad at the industry. Don't be mad at me for dropping the news on you. Be mad at the industry for what they've done to eggs. That's really important to know. You know, so what about the people who can say, I'm taking away everything they can eat? So what about those people? That's a good question, because, you know, that's a question I hear all the time is, oh, you know, medical medium, you want everybody on celery juice and you're taking away everything they eat. That's not true. Medical medium information in all the books gives you the most food to eat than any of the diet systems out there. What about when you go and get your food sensitivity testing, and they take away 30 fruits and vegetables and herbs away from, you're not even allowed anything? What about that? I mean, what about all the diet belief systems out there that all these years that strip people of eliminate all the foods, elimination plans, and they get rid of your fruit? What about all the diet systems? What about all the diet belief systems that get rid of your fruit, including the vegan systems now out there? They get rid of your fruits and your nightshades. I'm the only guy out there, the only books and information that give you more things to eat than any of the other diet belief systems. So if anybody thinks I'm the food police, quite the opposite. It's just that the difference is I know what foods to avoid because I know what causes illness, and I want you to know that. Okay, so the medical medium information, the book series, the medical books, it's all about knowing what to avoid so you don't feed the bugs and the pathogens. That's what it's all about. I only tell you what foods feed those pathogens, and to not be fooled, okay? And don't be fooled when you see young people, because it's confusing, I get it. When you see them, you know, young people, they seem indestructible, and they're in the gym, and they're removing gluten, and they're removing some bad stuff out of their diets, and they're choosing to do egg whites, and they're cooking their eggs in coconut oil, and they're exercising. They seem symptom free. It's a short duration of time. It's a short duration of time, because they may seem indestructible, but I've been in this for 35 years, and I talk to doctors all the time. And it's like no one's getting away with it. Bottom line, that's what I'm trying to say. And when it does hurt you later, I guarantee you something that when you're young and you're exercising and you're doing your thing and you believe in what you're doing and you're eating pretty good and all of that, and you think you're indestructible, and when something happens you start getting symptoms, like you will, because everybody does, I'm going to tell you right now, you're never going to blame the egg. You're never going to blame the egg. You won't be blaming that, but that you'll never blame the egg. Bottom line. So it's important to know. You know, you'll blame a piece of fruit, you'll blame something else, but you won't blame the egg. So look, I have nothing to gain, like I said, about any of this. It's just about you healing. So if I call that something to gain, then yeah, I call that something to gain. You healing. It's called you healing, being empowered and not disempowered. So there's a lot of women disempowerment going on with the medical industry still to this day, and everybody bought into it. Women being told it's their genes. It's complete total disempowerment, because you walk around as a woman thinking your genes are faulty and they're garbage. That's what they're teaching women right now. They're teaching women that their body's attacking itself and it's their fault. They're also teaching women that it's all in their head and they're creating it with their thoughts. So that's another thing too. Okay? You buy into that, you just buy into their tricks and games of disempowerment, of body shaming. So remember that too. Eggs are a catapult, basically. They're a catapult of getting people sick. Here's how it works. Women are world changers. They change the world. The industries know this. The industries have been trying to keep women down for decades and decades and decades, because women change the world for the positive. Okay, they make things happen. That's what they do. Okay, we know that. That's the bottom line. So keeping women disempowered, training them that their body's faulty, their genes are faulty, and their immune systems are attacking itself, training them to eat eggs, the very foods that feed viruses and pathogens, training them that it's all in their head and they're creating it with some kind of like woo-woo, training them that they're crazy or lazy or bored and that's why they're fatigued all these years, or whatever it is that they're training them to do. It's to keep them down, keep them disempowered, because they're world changers, and that's the bottom line. Eggs feed every tumor, cyst, every fibroid, every single cancer, every single, any kind of reproductive system. Eggs feed all of the very things women are afraid of and worried about. That's what eggs feed, okay? So that just goes to show you right there. Endometriosis, PCOS, eggs feed these. It's so important to know this, okay? So they're told to eat eggs every morning. They're told to eat eggs every morning. It's almost like a joke played on everybody. So women are told to eat eggs every day, every morning, to keep them sick and disempowered. And then when they get their first Hashimoto's thyroiditis diagnosis, they're told that their body's destroying their own thyroid. It really breaks the soul down in a woman, and it breaks the soul down in people, and it breaks them down. It kicks them down a notch, and it weakens them. And you can become empowered. You can learn. You can learn about the information. You can learn about how to protect yourself. Go to the library. Get the book out. Take it out for free. Don't even buy it. Just get the book out for free if you need to. And just give it a chance. Read it. Know that other people are reading it all around the world and healing. It's important to know so that you actually feel like you have the support. So, look, these YouTube live series, I love them. This is incredible, you guys. I'm honored to be here, too. It's incredible. I'll be doing more videos with health like this where I'm on here alone doing them, but I'm also going to have episodes where I'm bringing on guests and surprise guests because I'm bringing on friends. I'm bringing on friends. I'm bringing on old friends, special friends. I think some of you would be really excited about these episodes coming up. I'm bringing on personal friends that are dear to me. I'm bringing on some doctors. I'm bringing on some dentists, too, some lab techs, bringing on some scientists. I'm bringing on some other people, too. All of it. People with their medical medium healing stories, too. So guests, people healed from medical medium information, and bringing them on, too. So this is like a new thing. And I'm really excited about this. I'm blown away you were here with me, and I'm honored actually that you were here with me today. I hope you had some celery juice this morning like I did. Mine's been sitting for quite a while. It's been sitting all morning. I made it really early this morning, and I never got around to drinking it. I know that I'm with you, and I understand your struggles. I understand your suffering. I understand what you've been through. I know what you guys are going through. I know what it's like to go through doctor after doctor after doctor out there because I've seen people do it, and I know what they go through. Just know that I care. And it's all about healing and getting the right information. So until we do the next YouTube live series, I want you to be there. Keep your notifications ready. Click that bell. Make sure you got your notifications on. Make sure you're here with me because we're not messing around. We're about getting the truth out. Hell or high water, no matter what. Okay? It's about making sure you guys get better. And we're only working with truth here. We don't work with fake truth. Only the real truth. Okay? Bless your hearts. God bless you. Love you.